Hi, everybody. I'm Ginny Erickson, and welcome to Rain Shadow Living, the podcast. This is the podcast where we go behind the scenes and discover the people and places that make the Olympic Peninsula so magical.
And I'm Trish Cole, your guide to lending, lifestyle, and local happenings across Port Townsend, Sequim, and the surrounding communities. Whether you're looking to visit or move or just get to know the area better, we've got you covered.
So, today we have a very special guest. We're going to take a behind the scenes look at the Port Townsend Farmers Market. If you've ever spent a Saturday in Uptown, you know what I'm talking about.
So, to take us behind the scenes and share what makes this market tick, we're thrilled to welcome Amanda Milholland, Executive Director of Jefferson County Farmers Markets. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Did you want me to take you behind the scenes? Should I tell you what's going on?
Give our listeners a sense of how Port Townsend's Farmers Market got its start and how it's changed over the years, and maybe talk about the Chimica market as well. That would be amazing.
Sure. Yeah, so the Port Townsend Farmers Market is in its 33rd season. It started in 1992 in a downtown parking lot in Port Townsend by farmers. And the market has had many renditions over the years. In 2003, it moved from downtown to uptown Port Townsend with the intention of really growing the market and giving it a venue that would support that growth. And so since then, the market has been in uptown Port Townsend, and it's been the starting place of many local businesses, some of which have brick and mortar establishments today or have gone on to expand their product line, expand to the places where you can get their products, possibly through local grocery stores or restaurants. And so it plays a really critical role in our local economy and community. Over the last several years, we've had between 70 and 80 vendors at the Port Townsend Farmers Market. However, they're not all there every week. So usually when you come to the market, you'll see between 60 and 70 small businesses from local farms and artisan food businesses, prepared food, as well as arts and crafts. And we also provide space for local nonprofits to participate in the market. And as of the last couple of years, we also have some kid vendor days, which is pretty fun and special at the market.
I'm curious about that. What do the kid vendors offer?
Yeah, well, we have to restrict what they offer to art and farm products. They can't do prepared food because kids aren't able to get a business license and commercial kitchen and all those things to be able to make cookies or other yummy things that they might want to make and sell at the market. So we have partnered with our insurance and the city of Port Townsend to be able to cover the kid vendors under our insurance when they participate, and the city has waived business licenses for these young entrepreneurs who are participating in the market. They're not all small. Some of them are, young teens. And so we have kids usually between age 5 and up to 18 that participate in the market. And they're bringing everything from birdhouses and jewelry that they've made to bouquets, or just fresh things that they're picking in their home garden for the market.
That is so cool. I've never seen that at a farmer's market before. I think that's great because you're kind of teaching entrepreneurial efforts from a young age and everything. That's really cool. So if I was coming from out of area, when you say uptown and downtown, what does that mean in Port Townsend?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in our town, it is literal. If you're downtown, you are right at water level, and the main street through downtown is Water Street. And the market was actually first right off of Water Street in the parking lot by Elevated Ice Cream. And when I say uptown, I literally mean on top of the hill with our other commercial and residential neighborhood of uptown Port Townsend. The market is located on the 600 block of Tyler Street. We're located right next to the Port Townsend Community Center and the Parks and Rec Center, and also Aldridge's and a number of other small businesses uptown. And so it's really a district where people have space to gather and support the market and support other local businesses and connect to each other. There's a park right next to the market, which is really sweet for children and families to be able to participate in the market and then maybe take a break and have kids playing on the playground.
One of the things I find so extraordinary about this farmers market is, I guess, I want to say longevity. I mean, it runs every weekend from April through December. Are there any other farmers markets that do that? And it also seems that the locals just love it. It's where they go to get their vegetables.
Yeah, for sure. There are we do have one of the longer seasons in Washington State. I'm connected with the other farmers markets in Washington State through the Washington State Farmers Market Association. So we get together annually and participate in a conference. And so I've gotten to know many other markets throughout the state. And generally, a lot of them are opening in May, some in June, and they're usually closing maybe at the end of October, which is really kind of the peak growing season for a lot of Washington State farms, and also is the peak time when we know that the weather is going to be nice for a market. But we do have one other area market that has a longer season than ours, which is the Port Angeles Farmers Market. And yeah, our community loves the market. It's definitely a place where people from the community gather. And that's one of the things that really makes it a special place to be as a community member and also as a visitor to our area. It allows people to get to know the producers who are bringing the product to market and also get to know their neighbors and maybe meet somebody new. We do surveys at the market to see who comes and where they're coming from. And we found that there's definitely a big mix of people coming from our local community and people coming from all over Washington and beyond to the market.
Nice. Wonderful. What do you think is the best thing about the farmers market? Why do you enjoy it and like it?
Put you on the edge here.
Oh man. Well, honestly, there's so many things that I love about the market, and that's what keeps me doing this work is I love supporting the market. I love seeing the small businesses that participate in the market have a venue to connect with our community, and I love being in community at the market. It just feels it feels so good. And part of that is the kind of town square feeling that a farmer's market can create. It's not just a place where people come and buy something. It's also a place where people come and connect with each other and get to know each other. And as the director of a very small nonprofit, I'm often in my office doing all kinds of work that supports the operation of our markets. And so for me to be uptown on a Saturday, and the Port Townsend Market is opening for a second day this year after several years of our Wednesday market being closed. So being uptown on a Saturday or a Wednesday and being at the market and just really seeing the way that people are connecting and supporting each other and being in community and all the hugs that are shared at the market is always something that just gives me a lot of energy and passion that I can bring into the other aspects of my work. And yeah, I think it's a really powerful thing that we're able to create together every weekend.
I think that's really cool. And I know that Port Townsend to me and the peninsula itself is really kind of, I don't know if famous is the right word, but there seem to be a lot of artisans. Are most of your artisans, what I'm talking about is like two-dimensional art and musicians and things like that. Is that, are most of them from Port Townsend, or are they from all over, or what do you usually see?
That's actually a great question, and it kind of leads into one of the things that makes our market really unique. There may be other markets with our guidelines around vendors, but I don't know any other market that has the same level of guidelines around where vendor businesses can come from and what types of businesses can participate. And what I mean by that is we really want to use the market as a way to incubate and develop Jefferson County businesses as a kind of a first priority for for the businesses that participate. So generally when you're at the market, almost all the vendors they're living and working in Jefferson County. That said, we do happily welcome businesses from direct adjoining counties, especially if they're bringing something that's unique to the market. So, for example, we have some farm or arts businesses that are providing something where no one else at the market is providing that product, and they're coming from Clallam County. We have a business this year that is doing coffee concentrates, and they're coming from Island County. And so sometimes we invite vendors in from other areas if they're offering something that's unique. But we do try and make sure that since we're in this really amazing community where there are so many artists and makers and local food businesses and farmers, that we're creating a space for those businesses first to be able to establish and grow, because it's not just a part of our local economy, it's also part of our culture as a community here in Jefferson County. But then when there's room for other businesses, we definitely look for what's going to help make the products at the market diverse and represent a diverse community of vendor businesses as well.
That's
Just a little aside, I read a statistic when I was initially researching information on Port Townsend, and I learned that Port Townsend has more artists and entrepreneurs than 96% of the rest of the country, like when they compare community by community. So it's so awesome that they have this great outlet.
Yeah, for sure. And that is just what you're saying. It's why it's so important for us to have a Jefferson County focus is we get more applications than we can approve every year, especially among art businesses. So it's helped us make sure that we're creating space for all the amazing businesses that are here before just opening it up more broadly. And I think we see the benefits. We see the benefits both for the businesses that are at the market and for the businesses that started at the market and now are staples in our community. Like, for example, Pandiamore Bakery was one of our early vendors. We have Cape Clear Fishery. They sell at the market, but they also sell at the co-op and Chimacum Corner Farm Stand. There's so many examples of businesses that have gotten started at the market and grown to be able to be a larger part of our local economy. And we want to make space for that.
That's really neat. I know I went to a wood carving. I don't know if it was wood carving, but wood artistry, I guess you would call it, event in Port Townsend. And I was amazed. And my husband works with wood, so it's really an interest in our family. But that's one of the things I love about this area is all the unique artistry. And I'd never seen some of the work like that before. So that was really cool. Is there music during the event, or is it, you have entertainment type of things? Yeah.
Yes, for sure. There's a lot of things beyond just, I don't want to say just because the vendors are amazing, but beyond the vendors and community, which are two of the most important aspects of the market. We have music every week. We host 3 markets. As of the 4th of June, we'll be reopening our Port Townsend Wednesday market. It was closed for several years, prompted by COVID. So we're really excited to be reopening that. It's an afternoon and evening market from 3 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, also on Tyler Street. And with all 3 markets, we host live music every single week through October. Once we get to October, the weather can be a bit dicey and it's not great for booking music because sometimes we have to cancel it. We also have other activities that take place at the market. For example, we have a partnership with the Port Townsend Library, and they do story time once a month on the first Saturday of the month at the library, from starting at 11 a.m. It's 11 to 11:30 a.m. And it's so fun to see the kids in the grass on the community center listening to stories, and the storyteller is just really fantastic. And we also have other groups that periodically do something fun at the market. For example, this weekend, we're going to have Big Bubbles from one of our staff members who is really an expert at making very large, colorful bubbles that kids love to learn to make with her and pop. So there's things like that that we post periodically throughout the market season. Couple of my favorite events are our tastings. We do a summer tomato tasting event where people taste up to 12 varieties of local tomatoes and vote on their favorites based on different characteristics of tomatoes. And then they are placing their votes with dot stickers on a piece of paper. And at the end, we're able to see which are the winning tomatoes. And we do something similar with squash, winter squash in October. And so I love things like that just make the market a engaging place for people of all ages to come and connect with each other, shop, and maybe learn something and do something fun.
Now, I read online that you were a seasonal cook. So I am really curious to know how you leverage the market for your own personal recipes.
Ooh, for sure. That's a great question. Well, I'll say I use a lot of food from the market, and also I'm a home gardener. So this time of year, I'm also using a lot of food from my garden. But what I love to do on a market day is look at what's at the market and have that help dictate what kind of meals I'm planning for the week. Both my husband and I love to cook, and we'll get the local produce of the season and bring it home for whatever it kind of speaks, however it speaks to us. This time of year, we're still in our spring produce, and I've been eating lots of fresh salads, which I love to top with. We've got a great goat cheese and cow cheese vendor, Chimacum Valley Dairy. Their cheese is great with a salad. Or we've got Cape Clear Fishery with smoked salmon and fresh or frozen fillets of fish. And so something like a salad with a protein like that is really satisfying, or stir fry with a grain. So I really love to do a fruit and veggie heavy kind of menu at home that I think helps us really enjoy food at its finest, because it is so delicious when it's not just something that you're getting from the grocery store that may have been sitting on the shelf or been in storage for weeks and traveled across the country to get to the grocery store. It's something that the farmer has harvested maybe the day before or a couple days before, and has brought 50 or fewer miles to the farmers market. And you can really taste that freshness. It adds a lot nutritionally and flavor wise to the food.
I'm ready for a nice salmon salad.
Yeah, doesn't that sound good?
Sounds awesome. Yeah. A hazard of taping at lunchtime. Yeah.
So, Amanda, do you have any standout stories or special memories that really capture the spirit of the market?
I mean, I feel like every weekend there's a story, just a standout memory from the market. So I think I mentioned our tomato taste off. That is my favorite event that we do all year. And what I love about it is seeing how engaged and excited people get about all the different varieties of tomatoes. And really, there's just when you're at a farmer's market, there's so many more varieties of fruits and vegetables that you might not find at your supermarket. And I love tomatoes especially for that, because you can find 20 or more varieties of tomatoes at the farmer's market during tomato season. And it's just really special to give people the opportunity to try them all side by side. Because usually when we're getting a tomato, maybe you buy one or two slicer tomatoes, but you might not ever try that unusual type that is at the market. And it's really fun to see how people's faces light up when they're tasting all these different tomatoes, and to also see children and adults, especially children, who tell me, I don't like tomatoes. And then I'll say, actually, why don't you try this one? Just, give it a try. Think about it like a blueberry instead of a tomato. And when you have that kind of mindset of, what if it's a fruit? Because it really is a fruit. And what if you can just enjoy all the sweetness and complexity of the tomato, which sometimes we miss when we get a tomato at the supermarket, because they often are picked underripe or unripe and then shipped a long way. And so that process really removes a lot of the natural flavor of a tomato. So just seeing that engagement, it's really fun. And I will tell you, I love trying all the tomatoes myself too. It always helps me just decide which ones I want to buy and which ones I might want to grow next year. And so that's my favorite.
Well,
That's
this
fun.
podcast is for people. A lot of people will be from out of the area. They might be thinking of visiting or moving here. So I'd love to talk about the Wednesday market versus the Saturday market. Like, if someone's coming in from out of town, would you recommend that they come on a Wednesday, or what's your advice to people coming in from out of town?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the person and what kind of environment they most enjoy. The Port Townsend Saturday and Wednesday market are distinctly different from each other. The Wednesday market will have 21 businesses participating this year, whereas the Saturday market I mentioned, on any given Saturday, you're usually seeing between 60 and 70 businesses at the market. And we have a total of 80 some vendors who rotate through the market. So there's a lot more shoppers, a lot more vendors, a really huge variety of products on Saturday. And for some people that feels really great and exciting, and people enjoy being in that larger crowd and having the more diversity of products and really being able to see the community kind of come to life at the market. For other people, our midweek market, which is really focused on grocery shopping and dinner or a meal for the day, it can be more appealing. It's not an arts market, so it doesn't include any art vendors, and it's really about that food. And so for people who like a more low-key environment and want to be able to really see our local food showcased, the Wednesday market is a great environment for that. And just like the Saturday market, it will have live music, but it will be a smaller crowd, a smaller group of vendors, and really just intimate and welcoming for people who enjoy that kind of smaller setting.
And is there plenty of parking and accessibility? And is it walkable to downtown? So if someone wanted to come and spend the whole day in Port Townsend, is it pretty leisurely and easy to get around?
Yeah, that's a great question. The Port Townsend Market is located right on a couple bus lines. So that's one of the things, if people are visiting from out of town, one of the things to consider is we do have a wonderful park and ride that's by the Safeway. And if you park there, you can get free transit all over town. So for folks who don't want to deal with parking and don't want to have long walks between different places, there's very regularly running buses that can take people from the parking ride to the market, to downtown, to Fort Worden. So that's something I highly recommend for visitors. Our Uptown Market is located in a commercial and residential neighborhood, and people can find parking usually within a block or two of the market. We do have a small amount of ADA accessible parking available to people. We have a partnership with Studio STL, which is an architecture firm in Uptown Port Townsend, and they allow us to use their parking lot on a Saturday for ADA parking. And from the market itself, it's a pretty quick walk kind of down the hill. It's actually a lovely walk to downtown. There's the Holler Fountain stairs go directly to downtown, or you can take the sidewalk. So there's options for someone who's using a walker or wheelchair, or is on foot and comfortable going down a long, beautiful flight of stairs if you want to take the Holler Fountain stairs. And then if the walk feels like it's further than you want, just jump on a bus. It's really easy to get around town, and that way you're not having to think about parking. I love when I travel to other places to go with my bike. And so that's another thing to consider. Port Townsend is very bikeable, and you can easily get from the market to Fort Worden to downtown Port Townsend, all on a bike. having a great adventure along the way. And so those are my kind of transportation recommendations.
While we have you, tell us a little bit about the Chimacum Farmers Market.
Yeah, sure. So the Chimacum Farmers Market I love the Chimacum Farmers Market for so many similar and different reasons. It is located in the grass at Chimacum Corner Farm Stand. So it's right at a four-way intersection in Chimacum, kind of like Chimacum Central in terms of its location. It's really close to Fin River Farm and Cidery, which is another place that people who are visiting might want to check out while they're in town. So it really kind of feels like the central part of Chimacum. And one of the things that I think is especially special with that market is several of the vendor businesses are within walking distance from the market location. So for example, Red Dog Farm I think it probably is the equivalent of like 4 to 5 blocks from the market. And I think that's special because so many people are thinking about the concept of where does our food come from? And it's really something that we should be thinking about for the environmental impact of our food and also just its freshness and taste. And so that market in particular really highlights like this food is really just so close to the market. It's just a stone's throw away from the market. And so I love that aspect. But also the layout itself, the market is kind of in a U shape around a grassy field area. So it's really perfect for someone who might want to come and put a picnic blanket down and do their grocery shopping and get some prepared food and maybe a coffee and sit and have a little picnic while enjoying the live music at the market. And then there's also picnic tables there. So I think it's just really sweet in its own unique way. It is a smaller market than our Port Townsend market. It usually has between 20 and 30 vendors at that market, but they have a wide variety of products, everything from farm and food products to arts and crafts.
And that market is on Sunday, correct?
That market is on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This year, we started it a month earlier in May, so it's May through October. And yeah, definitely that's something to consider if you come to Jefferson County is make a weekend of it and explore the markets, or make a week of it and explore the markets if you want to hit up the Wednesday one as well. It'll give you a really strong sense of what our local community is about and where our food comes from.
Was there anything that we haven't asked you that you would want to bring up about any of the markets or about Port Townsend in general, Jefferson County?
Sure. Yeah. I think the big one that I want to bring up is that we really strive to make the farmers market an accessible place. And there's a lot of different ways that we're working on that. We recently did a big project with the city of Port Townsend taking a lead, but kind of spurred on by the market to improve the street and sidewalk in Uptown Port Townsend at the market location. So the market is very physically accessible if anybody's coming with a walker or wheelchair or has crutches or anything like that. And then another really big piece of accessibility is our farmers markets have very active food access programs for anybody who's has a low income and is using the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps, or women, infants, and children, or the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. We support all of those programs at the market and help people who are using them stretch their federal food dollars so that they're able to bring home more fresh food from the market and also support our local food businesses. So those are some big pieces about the market that I always want to make sure people know about. And in terms of Port Townsend, I grew up here. I love Port Townsend. And I think that there's just so much to explore when you're here. So I really do encourage people to consider making, a weekend of it or making a week of it, because you'll find that the market's a special place, but there are so many other places to also visit while you're here. Like, for example, get a picnic at the market and take it to Chetzemoka Park, or get a picnic and take it to the beach at Fort Worden, and or go on a hike in the Fort Worden North Beach Bunkers area. It's such a special place to be, and it's another important part of our local culture.
Amanda, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This has just been wonderful. And I feel like I can't wait for Saturday.
Oh, great. Well, I hope to see you at the market. It's always nice to see friendly faces at the market. And for anyone who's listened to this podcast, come say hi to me at the market booth on a Saturday. I'd love to meet you.
Is there a website for the market if someone wanted to get more information before they came to visit?
For sure. Our website is J as in Jefferson, C as in county, F as in farmers, and then markets, all spelled out, markets.org.
Really easy.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And for anyone who's thinking about moving or visiting to Port Townsend, and the farmers market is a great way to meet people, taste the flavors, and really feel the rhythm of the community, I think. So thank you for letting us explore it with you today. And also talking about the chimicum, that's kind of a hidden gem that I didn't know about. So I'm excited to explore that one too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was great to meet the two of you and to be able to connect with people and share more about the markets. I hope to see you there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will see you tomorrow. And everybody else, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already.
And join us next time. It's the first Friday of every month for our next adventure.